Well, we have all new equipment up here. That's why I was surprised when I first started speaking and it went out, so, as it should be. So, before I call the meeting to order, I'd like to note that we have interpretation services for this meeting. The interpreter for this evening is Mrs. Villagrana, and she's sitting in the back. Could you please raise your hand? Okay, please ask her for a listening device if you would like interpretation services. Antes de llamar a la Junta a orden, me gustaría notar que contamos con servicios de interpretación para esta Junta. La intérprete de esta tarde es la señora Villagrana. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the City Council meeting of October 3rd, 2023. Madam Clerk, could you please make an announcement about accessing the meeting and call the roll?
In order to participate in the City Council meeting virtually, please register to speak using the link at the top of the agenda. To raise your hand to speak on a particular agenda item, please use the raise hand button in the Zoom portal. If you're using a phone, please press *9 on your telephone keypad and then press *6 to unmute your phone. When it is your time to speak, you will be requested to unmute your microphone and speak for the time allotted by the mayor. Your microphone will be muted upon completion of your comments. Councilmember Aguilera Hernandez.
Here.
Councilmember Cordero.
Here.
Councilmember Escobedo.
Here.
Councilmember Soto. And Mayor Patino.
Here. The first item on the agenda this evening is a proclamation, and Councilmember Cordero will be making the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a proclamation to the Orchid Youth 14-year-old baseball team. And whereas Orchid 14-year-old all-star baseball team this year made history through the potent combination of skill, determination, and teamwork. And whereas they became the first local baseball team from Santa Maria Valley to win the Babe Ruth World Series age group title for 14-year-olds in August, winning the 14-year-old Babe Ruth World Series in Virginia. And whereas the 15-member team consists of Mason Majewski, Dom Navarez, Ryan Aparicio, Austin Bloom, Connor Chanley, Cristino Goncalves, Robbie Romlin, Santana Covarrubias, Cameron Walker, Mason Anderson, Carter Anaya, Daniel Tovar, Jacob Rodriguez, Nolan Roberts, and Aiden Robertson. And whereas Mike Robertson was the manager and the coaches were Tony Bloom, Ryan Walker, and Matt Majewski. And whereas while their journey was not easy, these athletes dominated their competition, running their team record from 19-2, including a remarkable playoff run of 7-1 and at both the state tournaments and the regional tournament 7-0 at the Babe Ruth World Series. And whereas in recognition of the team's excellence, Aparicio was the world champion, the World Series tournament most valuable player. Mason Majewski was the defensive player of the tournament, and Aparicio Romlin were the co-offensive players of the tournament. Now, therefore, Alice Patino, Mayor for the City of Santa Maria, hereby commends the 2023 Orchid 14-year-old All-Star Baseball team and congratulates the managers, coaches, and their families for their success in leading these fine young men in life lessons and teaching them the sport of baseball. This was witnessed hereto and set the hand of the mayor and caused the seal of the great city of Santa Maria to be affixed hereto on this 3rd day of October 2023. And here to receive this is Coach Matt Majewski, and he's got his son with him, who was also mentioned in the proclamation. So right up here, and we'll see that you get this.
Will one of you gentlemen like to say a few words? You can come right up to the podium here, and you can let all Santa Maria know what you did and when you did it.
Speech.
Just like Mike was saying, our state tournament was here in Lompoc where we went 6-1. Then we had to go to Tulare, that was by far the worst, 110 temperature. And I remember sitting in the dugout talking to one of my coaches thinking, is it getting hotter at 110? Because we don't see that very often. Down there, we actually went another 6-1, where we beat a really tough Arizona team back to back, which was very tough. And then we went all the way to Virginia, where we played Mexico, Texas, Minnesota, Virginia. And Mexico was probably one of the tougher games because they had a 6'2" kid that was a verbal commit to San Diego Padres already at that age, that was throwing 85 to 86. My son actually pitched in that game a complete 7 innings, 66 pitches, shutout, and that was a big game. So, and like I said, we were so excited about winning and bringing it back home, and the community just was a huge support. And that's what we want to say. Thank you to all Santa Maria Orchid for just supporting us in our journeys. And hopefully we bring it back again next year. So, thank you. Yeah,
Your
thank you.
efforts and the coaching that you did for these young people, it's something that you guys get to own forever, just forever. You will always be the World Series champions.
So thank you guys.
You know, what you guys did and the whole team and the coaches and all the family is so important. It just shows you what kids can really do with the support out there. And I thank you so much. And I think Johnny Ventura said it very well. This has never happened before here. And so that is extremely important. And we're all proud of you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for putting in the hard work. I know it was a lot of hard work.
The next item on the agenda this evening is another proclamation, and Councilmember Escobedo will be making the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you guys hear me at the back? Yeah, just getting used to this new system. It's a proclamation for Active Aging Week. Whereas the Active Aging Week is celebrated nationwide for all the change, the negative perception of aging in our society, and whereas the City of Santa Maria observes Active Aging Week to demonstrate Santa Maria's residents can thrive regardless of age or health status, and whereas it recognizes that the city's active aging population enriches our community by providing their skills in various opportunities, and whereas the City of Santa Maria is dedicated to delivering excellent services for seniors, encompassing a wide range of offerings such as leisure activities, exercise classes, health screening, and fitness testing. And whereas the active adults who are fully engaged in our society will contribute to the city as part-time employees, volunteers, mentors, and role models. And whereas for the past 12 years, the City of Santa Maria has acknowledged Active Aging Week in its continuous efforts to recognize our aging population as an asset to our communities in rich diversity and history. Now, therefore, Alice M. Patino, Mayor of the City of Santa Maria, hereby proclaim October 2nd through October 9th of 2023 as Active Aging Week. And here to accept this proclamation, we have Caroline Cabrera, President of Santa Maria Valley Senior Residents Club, Jolene Simmons, Vice President of the Santa Maria Valley Senior Citizens Club, and Pat Park, Senior Center Clerk.
I just wanted to thank you all for this proclamation. And like I said, I brought my support team with me. As it says, I'm the president of the Santa Maria Valley Senior Citizens Club, and Jolene is first vice president, and Pat Park is one of our club members, but she also works at the desk serving the city. And she's in a key position because she helps us, like we had our dinner meeting last night, and she's able to present to our membership all the activities that are going on and sponsored by the city. And the club has had some pretty big challenging years in 2019 and 2020 and 2021. And we thank you all for hanging in there with us in this COVID crisis, because it's so rewarding to see the seniors come into the center. And we work really closely with Wendy Hudson and Evelyn Maraquin, and they are amazing. I have to tell you, they have done such a good job. And so we join together with them and support the activities and move forward with success as our goal. Together, we're better. And thank you so much for this proclamation.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Cabrera.
You guys throw a great New Year's celebration every year. I've attended 2 years ago, if I recall, and it was a blast. I tried to learn how to dance some of those moves, so I appreciate it. And it's, as you mentioned, it's a lot of joy. It's a lot of positive and nice. It's a fun time. So thank you for putting that and putting all the effort in making that happen.
Well, I know, just one little point. I know that Wendy told us, with the passes that we have, and I was encouraging all the seniors, make sure you barcode your passes, because that's how they know who's coming in the doors, who's there. They had 2,200 people for 1 month, a couple of months ago. And I'm like, and just think, we're gonna get new carpeting, we're gonna get new flooring, right?
Thank you very much. You're on the spot there, Dennis. The next item on the agenda this evening is another proclamation, and Councilmember Aguilera Hernandez will be making the presentation.
Whereas the City of Santa Maria is committed to ensuring the safety and security of those living in and visiting the City of Santa Maria, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and the greatest risk from fire is in the home, and whereas cooking is the leading cause of home fires in the United States, and fire departments responded to more than 166,400 annually between 2016 and 2020, and that's why I don't cook. It's a fire hazard. Whereas 2 of every 5 homes starts in the kitchen, with 31% of these fires resulting from unattended cooking, and whereas more than half of reported non-fatal home cooking fire injuries occurred when the victims tried to fight the fire themselves, and whereas the Santa Maria Fire Department is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and education, and whereas the 2023 Fire Prevention Week theme, Cooking Safety Starts With You, Pay Attention to Fire Prevention, effectively serves to remind us to stay alert and use caution when cooking to reduce the risk of kitchen fires. Now therefore, the Mayor, Alice Patino of the City of Santa Maria, hereby recognizes October 8th through October 14, 2023 as Fire Prevention Week in the City of Santa Maria, and encourages all residents to check their kitchens for fire hazards and use safe cooking practices, plan and practice a home fire escape plan, and ensure all smoke alarms are working. The mayor therefore sets her hand and has caused the seal of the City of Santa Maria to be affixed hereto this 3rd day of October 2023, and accepting this will be Fire Marshal Jim Austin.
I can't do this without these anymore. Thank you, Mayor Patino and council members. Every year, fire departments across the nation recognize the first full week of October as National Fire Prevention Week. And as Councilmember Aguilera mentioned, the theme this year is Cooking Safety Starts With You. So to add to some of that information she gave to you, here are some safety messages that can help you in the kitchen. Always keep a close eye on what you're cooking. For foods with longer cook times, such as those that are simmering or baking, set a timer to help monitor them carefully. Clear the cooking area of combustible items and keep anything that can burn, such as dish towels, oven mitts, food packaging, paper, and towels, clear of heat sources. Turn pot handles toward the back of the stove. Keep a lid nearby when cooking. If a small grease fire starts, slide the lid over the pan and turn off the burner. Create a kid and pet-free zone. I probably violate this one every now and again, of at least 3 feet around the cooking area, and anywhere else hot food or drink is prepared and carried. I'd also like to invite everybody here, October 11th from 4 to 7, we will be having a fire prevention display and setup across the way where we have Downtown Fridays. So the fire department will be there along with several other divisions and entities. So please join us. And on behalf of the Santa Maria Fire Department, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. The next item on the agenda, oh, I'm sorry, Mr.
Yeah,
Escobedo.
I also attended last year's fire prevention week, and it was a blast. So I learned that I think that you can add to that notes, maybe not having Carlos cooking to prevent any fire in the kitchen. No, but I think it's everybody should join. It's a really hands-on activities as well. It's not just information, but also some really good activities. So if you want to bring that up.
Yeah, to add to that, so we will have fire extinguisher training as Mayor Escobedo went through, and he did good. And we'll have a lot of displays and a lot of other information that kind of falls along with the theme of fire prevention, because really it's a city team effort. It's not just the fire department. So we recognize all our other divisions that help us out with that. So please come by.
Mr. Austin, is the Listos program still in effect? It is.
They will be there.
They will be there. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda this evening is another proclamation. I will be making the presentation. Whereas the second week of October is designated as Code Enforcement Officer Appreciation Week throughout the state of California to recognize and celebrate the role code enforcement officers have in our communities. And whereas code enforcement officers provide for the safety, health, and welfare of residents through the enforcement of local, state, and federal laws and ordinances dealing with various issues of building, zoning, housing, animal control, environmental, and health safety. In other words, they do everything. Code enforcement officers are dedicated, highly qualified, and highly trained professionals who strive to assist communities in the prevention of the neighborhood deterioration, as well as enhance communities, ensure safety, and preserve property values. And whereas code enforcement officers often have highly visible role in the communities they serve, they regularly interact with the public and a variety of federal, state, county, and local officials. And whereas the City of Santa Maria wants to recognize and honor its code enforcement officers who continue to serve the community in a variety of ways to improve the quality of life for residents and businesses. Now therefore, I, Alice M. Patino, Mayor of the City of Santa Maria, do hereby designate the week of October 9th, 2023 as Code Enforcement Officer Appreciation Week in the City of Santa Maria to celebrate, recognize, and honor the Code Enforcement Division. In witness thereof, I hereto have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Santa Maria to be affixed on this third day of October, 2023. And here to receive this is accepted by Don Palacios, Code Enforcement Manager.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, this is loud. Thank you so much for this proclamation. We have a wonderful team. We are excited to announce that we are in the process of hiring another officer soon. So pretty soon we'll have 4 officers. And along with me is Yvette Fuentes, Code Enforcement Supervisor, and Ronaldo Rendon, Code Enforcement Officer. And we'd also like to let everybody know to keep an eye out for our videos that will be coming out. It's a series called Did You Know? So informational videos that will be on the city website, informing people about health and safety, business license, all things code enforcement to help educate the community. And we'd also like to invite you next Wednesday, October 11th as well, at 9:30 for coffee and donuts with code enforcement at the Community Development Department at 110 South Pine Street. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to say that when I'm out in the community, people mention things, and they've said code enforcement does a really good job. In particular, Dawn, I get a lot of compliments about your courtesy, the way you treat callers. I just want to commend the whole team. You guys have a difficult job. You're enforcing the code of the city. So I really want to thank you for your hard work.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Jessica Bell.
But just for the record, so you are gonna be 4, and you basically look after a community of 100 and what, 8, 9
1,000.
We could use
people.
6 more.
So I think it's a lot what you guys have to go through. So thank you guys, and it's good that I see, you guys being there for a while. So that's great to keep you guys in the team, and yeah, congratulate you. Great job, and yeah, looking forward for the 4th team and more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next item on the agenda this evening is the public comment period. Madam Clerk, could you please read the criteria for the public comment portion of the agenda?
This time is reserved to accept comments from the public on consent agenda items, closed session items, or matters not on the printed agenda this evening. If you are participating via Zoom and wish to make a public comment, now is the time to raise your hand in the Zoom portal. Unless otherwise directed by the mayor, speakers will have 3 minutes to comment. Direction to staff may be given. However, state law does not allow action to be taken on matters not on the printed agenda. Once the public comment period commences, no other speakers will be allowed to submit a request to speak form or request acknowledgement in Zoom. We have 2 requests to speak and no hands up in Zoom.
Thank you. Gary Hall. Good evening, Mr. Hall.
Good evening. How am I on the equipment? Is it all right?
Doing
Hear me?
good.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff, and the citizens of Santa Maria. My name is Gary Hall. I'm a resident of Rancho Buena Vista Mobile Estates at 2135 North Railroad Avenue here in Santa Maria. I represent the North Santa Barbara County Mobile Homeowners Team, or NSBIT. First, let me congratulate our new interim city manager, Alex Posada. We look forward to working with you, Alex. I am speaking tonight to once again ask the city of Santa Maria to join over 100 other California jurisdictions that through enactment of rent stabilization ordinances and programs have provided their mobile home park residents with protection from excessive rent increases, and in that way helped maintain affordable housing for their senior and low-income citizens. The existing model lease does not do that. Again, I want to thank Council Members Soto, Escobedo, and Cordero for passing the motion to examine the model lease agreement, looking for ways to improve it, and to look at alternatives. The motion was passed on June 6, 2022. But unfortunately now, 1 year and 4 months later, that work still remains undone. A few stakeholder meetings have been conducted. Most recent meeting was held between mobile home residents and city representatives on July 21st. And as of today, no new meetings are scheduled. We, the mobile homeowners, desire to move this process forward without further delay. We are ready to discuss and obtain consensus on implementing specific changes and procedures to the existing model lease program. We continue to view our goal as being to provide all Santa Maria mobile home residents presently living in an unregulated rental market where the current model lease program has been ineffective in protecting homeowner equity and maintaining affordable mobile home housing. To that end, we have previously identified our 4 issues which we have been using to guide us through the discussions thus far. We request continuing with the same issue outline as our agenda for the future meetings. However, we also suggest that a dashboard be created and maintained of the issue areas and possible solutions as the stakeholders work through them. We view the city's role as critical to this process and desire to be that of a proactive facilitator and, where required, a mediator. We are thankful for the time the staff has devoted thus far and are hopeful that productive discussions do lie ahead in the very near future. We continue to believe, given your collective political will, it's possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Ms. Wilma Kilpatrick.
Good evening.
Good
Mayor
evening.
Patino and council members. My name is Wilma Kilpatrick. I've lived in Santa Maria 51 years. I was here last month, September 6th, at the meeting. I'm not going to read this letter. I read this letter last time because it's a waste. I don't want to waste you guys' time. I'm just here. I got approved for the apartments on 800 West Battles, but I've had 5 move-in dates that keeps getting pushed back due to the railroad and the PG&E and whatever's conflict or whatever's going on with them would not turn the electricity on. So that's left me homeless. So I'm just here to plead with someone to, for the railroad and the PG&E to get together, do something, I don't know, so I can get off the streets. And that was a month ago I was here, and I'm here again. I'm just pleading, respectively pleading, so we can get some help.
Thank you.
To move into our place. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Posada, will you handle that? Okay, thank you. Mr. Posada will handle that for you, Ms. Kilpatrick. Thank you. This concludes the public comment portion of the agenda. Before we move on, Mr. Posada, did you wish to make any comments? I should introduce you at this time. So, Mr. Alex Posada with Rex and Parks is our interim city manager. We will be going out for a search, and we'll have a agency doing the search for us, and then the council will decide on who the new city manager will be. And I want to thank you very much for stepping in, Mr. Posada. It's been rather seamless, and we appreciate it up here. Thank you.
I also want to thank Mr. Posada for stepping up to the task. It's not an easy job, but he's doing really well. Thank you.
Moving on, the next item is the consent calendar. Madam Clerk, could you please read the description?
Routine items are presented for city council approval without discussion as a single agenda item in order to expedite the meeting. The consent calendar is approved by roll call vote with one motion. These items are discussed only on the request of council members. Included in tonight's consent calendar is an executive compensation contract for the interim city manager.
Does anyone have items they wish to pull for discussion? No? Okay. Do I have
Move.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Escobedo,
Hi.
Councilmember Aguilar Hernandez,
Aye.
Councilmember Cordero,
Aye.
and Mayor Patino.
Aye. Next, we have a public hearing. Madam Clerk, could you please read the title?
The city council will consider approving a downtown permit for the Vernon Group to construct a 6-story, 75,340 square foot mixed-use building with 5,760 square feet of ground floor commercial, 82 apartment units, a rooftop deck, outdoor plazas, parking, and a firefighters memorial on a .60 acre site in the Gateway District of the Downtown Specific Plan.
Staff report is to be made by Community Development Director, Mr. Wu. Good evening, Mr. Wu.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I'm pleased to present Alvin Newton Apartments, and this is a project on the southeast corner of Main and Broadway in downtown. It's taken a while to get here, and so I'll provide information related to this project, background and specific details. This project is a 6-story building with, we call it a mixed-use building with ground floor commercial and retail and 5 floors of apartments above the ground floor retail. It includes 82 apartment units, a rooftop deck, outdoor plazas, parking, a firefighter's memorial, all on about a 0.60 acre site. This is a project area of the project location, and the applicant is Vernon Construction, although I think we can also consider this somewhat of a joint effort between the city and the partner developer. As you may be aware, over the last several years, the city entered into an RFP process for development of various city parcels in downtown. The parcels that were identified were mostly underutilized parking lots or plazas, and this is an effort to stimulate development in downtown. We've had the downtown specific plan for a number of years, and I think we've waited for a number of years for development to occur. There's one project that's under construction on the northwest corner. That's the Gateway Mixed Use Project by Binnick Farjum. You can expect completion of that project sometime by the end of this year. So that's kitty corner to this project. That project is also a mixed-use building. It has a ground floor. The identified use is a restaurant that's going to be a ground floor, and then 18 apartments. But kitty corner to this on the southeast corner is actually a larger project than what's on the northwest corner. But again, we've been talking about this for a long time, as identified in the downtown specific plan. There's a vision for a pedestrian-friendly downtown with a mix of uses, including housing, retail, dining, plaza amenities, outdoor spaces, and this project does meet those goals and objectives. And also, it's a new infill development that would help refresh aspects of our downtown. Again, this is the project site. You can see the yellow outline of approximately where the building would go. The building does kind of go over the existing drive aisle coming off of Main Street. The drive aisle coming off of Broadway will also be preserved. As mentioned earlier, there was a development agreement for this property that was approved on August 2022. And after the approval of that development agreement, there were a series of meetings leading to this council meeting. There was a joint downtown committee meeting with the City Council and Planning Commission in December 2022, talking about architecture for downtown. In July of 2023, there was another downtown committee meeting discussing this project specifically, and this project was reviewed by the Planning Commission in September, just a month ago, and that was unanimously approved by the Planning Commission. So with the development agreement that governs this site, we also refer to it as Lot 3. That DA provided design expectations and incentives to stimulate development, meeting the downtown goals and objectives. These are some site photos of the existing plaza. There is an existing firefighters memorial and also the Four Corners Memorial. And again, it's not a very large site, but it is a prominent site, being the corner of Main and Broadway. This is a view looking south, and this is a view looking east and looking north. Here's a site plan. You can see the outline of the proposed building. The building, again, it's larger than this footprint. Again, it kind of goes over the existing driveway coming off of Main Street. And there's access, again, off of Main Street on Broadway, 0.6 acres. The overall square footage, it's about 75,000 square feet in total, 6 floors, about 70 feet in height. There are some features of the building that takes it up to 85 feet in height. The ground floor commercial is over 5,000 square feet. That's large enough to accommodate, it could accommodate a couple of different uses, or it could accommodate one user. The space is designed to be divided, but it depends on who the user is. And at this point, we don't have an identified user, but it's designed for future potential uses such as restaurants or other retail uses. Of the 82 residential units, there are 5 studio apartments, 67 one-bedrooms, and 10 two-bedrooms. The average size of these apartments, it's about 660 square feet. There is a rooftop deck feature for the residents on the 6th floor. On the ground floor, there is a residential lobby with bike storage and residential lobby. This is a drawing of the ground floor. You can see the commercial space, and you can see the memorial that is that corner on the south side. There's also a plaza area that's adjacent to Broadway, right on the corner. I'll note that the plaza space is designed in a way so that it's sheltered. It's sheltered from the wind, and it's sheltered from the traffic of Main and Broadway. So it's intended to be a little bit more of a secluded place. It is, after all, a memorial, so the place will be designed for contemplation, but also it is a gathering space. You can see some existing parking spaces to the east of the building, and there is an existing parking garage adjacent to the building. This is a floor plan of the 2nd floor to the 5th floor. They all kind of have this arrangement. So you can see kind of a central hallway, and also stairwells on the east side and on the west side. There's an elevator shaft that kind of runs central to the building that would provide access to the units. On each of these floors, there are 17 units per floor. So this is the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor. On the 6th floor, there are 14 units, and you can see a roof deck. The roof deck is about 1,400 square feet. It's intended for the residents. It's open space. There's expected to be sitting areas, landscaping, hardscapes, really, an area for to host some small gatherings, and an open space for the residents. This is a cross section of the building, and it's intended to show the massing and the height of the structure in comparison to some of the other structures in the area. So on the section at the top of the slide, you can see how large this building is in comparison to the Bank of America. And on the cross sections on the bottom of the slide, you can see the size of the building in comparison to the existing parking garage. This is actually, let me go back and let me talk about parking for a little bit. The downtown specific plan has reduced parking ratios. The specific plan really only requires 83 parking spaces, but note there are 82 apartments. So as part of the development agreement asks for 2 parking spaces per apartment unit. So with 82 apartments, that's 164 parking spaces. We recognize that the commercial use will likely demand and parking as well. But there is the parking will be reliant on the existing parking garage that's adjacent to the building, and that parking structure has 1,078 spaces.
Chuck, can you repeat how many parking spots are going to be needed?
Yes, 164. So that's two per apartment.
Thank you.
This slide shows the color and materials and architecture. It is a Spanish mission style. And the ground floor is really intended to be human scale. So you can see a difference between the ground floor and the upper floors. You can see the arches. Also, there'll be new tree plantings, outdoor dining spaces. And so even though it's a taller building, for the pedestrian walking past the building, it's not like it's designed in a way so that a pedestrian can feel very comfortable. The upper floors are designed with large windows, and that's intended for good natural lighting for the apartments. And there's good variation for this building. It's not, even though this is a two-dimensional drawing, it's not flat. The wall variations, there's good wall variations, and there's good arches and trims to accentuate the design of this building. So I'll go back to this one. I believe this is the south elevation. So this is if you were on Main Street looking south. And this is the north elevation. So say you were standing in front of Bank of America looking, actually no, I did not get that right. Let's see. That's the same drawing. So this is the north elevation. This is as if you're standing on Main Street, and this is the north side of the building. So you can see that little cutout where you have the driveway off of Main Street, and then you can see the arches along the corner there where there's going to be some outdoor dining. These are the west and east elevations. The west elevation is adjacent to the parking garage. So you can kind of see a dotted line. That dotted line is the top of the parking garage. So you don't really see what's below that dotted line, but that's intended to be the west elevation. And the east elevation is what you would see from Broadway. So that's the drawing on the right-hand side. You see some arches. Yes, Councilman.
I think the part you can see from Broadway is the west part, not the east. And the part you can see from the parking structure is the east view. I only know that because the east is that way and the west is that way.
Thank you for the correction, Councilman Cordero. So on this elevation that you can see from Broadway, you can see this kind of central archway. That's intended for a future mosaic. So I'll talk a little bit more about our conversations with the Newton family and the firefighter stakeholders, but that's intended to be a mosaic mural highlighting the work of the firefighters. And then this is a south elevation. So this is looking north from Bank of America. Again, you can see the distinction between what's on the ground floor and what's on the upper floors for the residential. And this is also where you can see the firefighters' memorial. So that kind of central area, again, this is hard to tell from a two-dimensional drawing, but that's a plaza. That's a plaza area. And again, this is not flat. If you look at the top-down site plan view, it's more of a L shape than just a rectangular box. So towards that center of that drawing, it really is recessed in to accommodate the plaza. So here's another rendering of the This is looking at the firefighter memorial. We had myself, the assistant city manager, we had several conversations with families of Mr. Alvin Newton, and also with the firefighter stakeholders to discuss how this space should be designed. The applicant, Vernon Construction, the city, we were very open and very amenable to what it would be. And so through a series of meetings, the group came up with several ideas that are now incorporated into the design of this building. And so one, the group agreed to name the building after Mr. Alvin Newton. And just as background, we remember that he did perish in the Bradley Hotel fire back in 1970. And the group agreed on a statue pedestal at the center of this plaza that will be well lighted, and that will also include memorial plaques intended to educate those that are gathering in the plaza. We call this statue larger than life. It's going to be of a significant height, and it will be designed by an artist, and it'll be prominent. As mentioned, there will be a mosaic along Broadway under one of the arches. The project will also have a flag on or near the building, and there will also be shadow boxes in this plaza that will provide an opportunity to tell the story. So you can interchange different features and highlights behind these shadow boxes, and visitors can see the display, and it could be photos, could be some narratives, but it really would kind of help tell the story, and that would be a feature of this plaza. This is another perspective drawing. This is from the corner of Main and Broadway, so it's an outdoor dining area. This rendering shows where that mosaic could be. You could see kind of that's just a color drawing under that main archway there. There will be new landscaping as part of this development. This is the landscape plan for the ground floor. And this is a drawing showing the rooftop deck. So there'll be seating areas and some new trees and landscaping. And there will also be the right lighting for the area to ensure a level of comfort and safety. This project classifies as an infill development and is categorically exempt from CEQA. We did receive some correspondence from the attorneys of Mitchell Sy. Staff has reviewed that letter, and we believe that we have sufficiently addressed the concerns brought up in the letter. Staff's recommendation is that the City Council accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and adopt a resolution approving Downtown Permit 2022-22 for the Alvin Newton Apartments at the southeast corner of Main Street and Broadway. We have a number of individuals here that have worked on the project, including staff, the applicant, and so we're available for questions. I do think the applicant has a brief presentation as well. This concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? No? Madam Clerk, I'd like to open up for a public hearing. Do you have any requests to speak or written correspondence?
Yes, Madam Mayor, as Mr. Wu mentioned, we have received one written comment from Sy Law Firm representing the Southwest Mountain States Regional Council of Carpenters. This written comment was provided to council members via email and is posted on the city's agenda portal. We have also received 3 requests to speak and no hands up on Zoom.
Thank you. I think that, does that say Greg or Grant Morris or? Oh, Glenn. Well, either my eyes are really going bad or you didn't write. Yeah, it has to be you because the rest of these I can read. Thank you for being here, Mr. Morris. Yeah, look at.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and it is mine. It's been a long time since I've written with a pencil. So, I got to go back to school and do that. I did want to ask, Mayor, did you want to have the applicant make comments before we do public comment, or would you like us to proceed first?
You can just go ahead with public
Okay.
comment.
So I want to echo a couple of the comments that Mr. Wu made, and just kind of, again, put a fine point on what tonight means. This community for many years has dreamed, wished, planned, hoped for a revitalization of our downtown core. And that has been reflected through, a couple of iterations of the downtown specific plan, and other, I think it's been a standing goal of the council for a number of cycles. This has been a priority for a long time in Santa Maria, and it just wasn't getting done. And I think this project represents a couple of lessons for us. First, I think this is a great example of the potential when the public, private sector come together to work on a project together. Had the city not been willing to consider alternative uses for lands that it owned in the downtown, we wouldn't be here tonight. On the other hand, if there wasn't a developer or multiple developers who were willing to take a chance on building a product that will be unique to this city, that we wouldn't be here again. And so bringing those two units together really is what started this thing forward. It's also a testament, as Mr. Wu alluded to tenacity and the willingness to keep pushing forward. The RFP that he mentioned process, I think we launched that in late 18, early 19. You all as a council identified the Vernon Group as your preferred developer to work with downtown, and I believe it was in late 2020. So it's taken a while, but I think we're getting to a point where we've got a project we can all be really excited and proud about. And then the final lesson I would point to tonight is represented in the final piece that Mr. Wu highlighted, which is the renewal of the firefighter memorial. That could have become a really contentious issue. It could have become a showstopper, right? It could have become the kind of thing that just prevented us from moving forward. But I think it's a great example of what happens when different groups of people are willing to sit down respectfully and have a dialogue, engage in some give and take, and ultimately produce a product that is better and that represents what we're looking for in our community. We're excited that this is the first of a number of projects that are going to be coming to you as a result of this process. And we look forward to you all tonight approving the permit so that we can get started building. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Paredes or Mrs.? Oh, Terry. There you are. Good evening.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of the City Council, residents of Santa Maria, good evening to all. It is with a profound sense of optimism and responsibility that I address to you today about an impending chapter in Santa Maria's growth. We are presented with a unique opportunity, a significant development that I firmly believe can serve, or that we firmly believe, can serve as a beacon for our community's future. The heart of Santa Maria has always been its people and its small businesses, the very embodiment of the spirit of entrepreneurship. Our downtown area, which has been the lifeblood of our community for generations, stands on the precipice of renewed vibrancy and energy. With the proposed development, we're not just talking about bricks and mortar. We're envisioning a place where memories are made, where families gather, where dreams of small businesses, such as ourselves, owners flourish, and where residents feel a deeper connection to the city they call home. I do have to kind of go off script a little bit and mention that in the beginning, when I first heard about this at a board meeting, being that we are in the heart of it, I was a little bit opposed due to the construction mess that I was envisioning. But then with the help of my husband and sitting down with these awesome gentlemen, I got to hear their heart and I got to see what we can envision and see in the future, and that would really help and drive more people into our small businesses. What we need is more people in our businesses giving back to our community and giving back to the city. With that, I'm gonna have my husband take over.
So the developers have approached us not as outsiders, but as partners, genuinely committed to integrating into the tapestry of Santa Maria. Their intentions are clear: to revitalize, to rejuvenate, and to respect the core values of our community. Their desires to be partners, not parasites, is evident in their proactive communications, their community engagement efforts, and their emphasis on local benefits. The influx of new spaces in commercial areas translates into potential customers for our local shops, restaurants, and services. As people move in, they will be seeking places to dine, shop, and spend quality time, infusing our downtown businesses with fresh energy and purpose. We understand that change, especially one of this magnitude, can met with apprehension. But let's remind ourselves that when growth is managed wisely, it fosters resilience. As the stewards of Santa Maria's future, it is our duty to embrace opportunities that promise a brighter future, especially when they align so well with our values. Let's embark on this journey together, hand in hand, ensuring that Santa Maria grows. It remains a place of community, passion, and purpose. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here this evening.
Thank you for your speech. I commend you for seeing the heart of the developers. Most people don't think they have one. So I think it's really great that you stood up and talked about the project.
Thank you. Matt Cherkoff. Good evening.
I have some prepared remarks so I don't go off track tonight. Good evening, members of City Council and City staff. My name is Matt Cherkoff, and I'm here as a representative of the stakeholder group for the Firefighter Memorial at the site of this proposed project. As you know, the stakeholder group is made up of current and former firefighters of the city and Alvin Newton's family. Alvin Newton was a reserve firefighter and a reserve police officer for the city of Santa Maria. On April 25th, 1970, the Bradley Hotel on the southeast corner of Main and Broadway was set on fire. The fire claimed the life of Alvin Newton when the wall he was standing near collapsed, pulling him into the fire and burying him under the bricks and debris. After hours of grueling recovery efforts, Alvin's body was located and removed from under the debris by his fellow firefighters, one of which is a member of the stakeholder group. It was that day that the city of Santa Maria lost its second firefighter to a line of duty death. No one was ever held accountable for the loss of our brother Alvin. And to this day, the Bradley Hotel fire is deemed arson and Alvin's murder is considered a cold case. The need to have a proper memorial in the location where Alvin Newton gave his life while fighting the Bradley Hotel fire is 53 years overdue. The current memorial for Alvin at the site was constructed in the 90s, and since then there has been little care, maintenance, or recognition of the memorial. The site has been overlooked by all for many years, so much so that residents and many city staff are unaware that a Santa Maria City firefighter died on that corner. The upkeep of the memorial over the years has been aided by the family and friends of Alvin Newton and the city firefighters. The stakeholder group sees this project as our only opportunity to properly honor the sacrifice made by Alvin Newton. By constructing a memorial that will allow the community to learn about the city's fallen hero and the rich history of the fire department and the city of Santa Maria. For about a year, the stakeholder group has met with city staff and the developers to come up with a plan that will incorporate a firefighter memorial within this proposed project. Portions of this plan incorporate community involvement in its development and would be a place to gather, remember, and learn. The developers have committed to building a new memorial with a number of features at the site, including naming the building the Alvin Newton Apartments. The stakeholder group supports their plan and this entire project. The project and proposed memorial includes an opportunity for the stakeholder group to add to the memorial, specifically a larger-than-life custom bronze statue of Alvin Newton. The developers have committed to constructing the many elements of the new memorial and have included a statue base and lighting for a future bronze statue of Alvin and an easement for the access to the statue site. The statue and design construction costs will be borne by the stakeholder group and added to the proposed memorial. The Santa Maria City Firefighters Union has made the first donation of $5,000 to this Alvin Newton Memorial Project to retain a local artist who is here today to begin the drawings and design of the Alvin Newton statue. The stakeholder group is committed to this plan and prepared to fundraise for the $250,000 to build this bronze statue. Our hope is that the city of Santa Maria will partner with us and consider making a donation to this statue project from either the existing Alvin Newton Memorial Landscape District or another funding stream. Together, and 53 years later, we can build a proper memorial that pays tribute to former reserve firefighter and reserve police officer Alvin Newton for his ultimate sacrifice to the city of Santa Maria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, I didn't get a slip from the developers. Do any of you want to speak to this? Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Patino and City Council. My name is Leonard Grant. I'm a principal architect at RRM Design Group, the architects for the project. And I think this is a challenge to follow a fairly heavy presentation of the art piece that's going to be produced in there. So I apologize to follow up that. It's pretty tough. But I think this is an amazing opportunity to honor a firefighter who fell in the line of duty. So we will do our best to honor him. And I think the good news is that your planning director did my entire presentation, so thank you. This will be very, very brief. We have with us today Kyle Murray from our office, an architect, and Brett and Brad Vernon, developer, and Dave Alpern as part of the development group. I remember we starting on this project during COVID. We were notified by Brad Vernon that they had an opportunity to potentially work with you guys, and we had a charrette in our back patio when nobody was working in the office. So we decided to include folks working from home, went out in the wind in our back courtyard and took out some base maps and started drawing the 4 or 5 sites at the time, site planning, connecting the pieces together, and taking guidance from your specific plan that our firm wrote with you many years ago. So it's really exciting for us as RRM Design Group to realize a key piece of this project on this site. And I didn't know at the time about the history of Alvin Newton, but it's obviously very important for us to honor him. And fortunately, his family, we met with the Vernons and his family to relocate from the corner to a protected piece. The building, fortunately, is a significant mass, can block northwesterly winds and create a sunny courtyard where we can honor Mr. Newton, and for the members of the community that will occupy this apartment building can enjoy that space and contemplation as well as the roof decks, which would be great to be able to see the city from that spot. So it is an honor to serve you and design this project and the Vernon Group and activate this part of town on the specific plan. So we have a group ready to continue to dialogue with you, talk to you more about the project if you'd like to. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Mr. Escobedo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple of months ago, was last year, that this project was brought to this council. There were discussions about the support and the partnership that the city and along you guys and kind of like work together on getting this going. And we're talking about some incentive reduced parking permit, reduced fees because of you guys will be building in downtown throughout the downtown specific plan. We already have 50%, we're just charging 50% of some of the fees already. So we're talking about almost $1.3 million in incentive. And every time we're gonna, there's this kind of, we're talking about 82 units, which is big. It's a 6-story building. Tell us, and I would like to, tell the people that are watching right now, what do you guys see? Where do you guys see the value of building this in the community? Because now the community is providing an incentive. So I would like to hear from your guys' perspective, what's the value that you guys are bringing to Santa Maria?
I'd invite the developer to further anything that I say, but I know one as an architect that has been focused on affordable housing and housing for workforce since I got licensed in 1997. This is a fantastic opportunity for people that work in the city of Santa Maria to be able to walk to work, to be able to activate your specific plan, to be able to bring residents to your businesses to purchase goods and services that are produced or sold here in the city of Santa Maria. So I think there's a great thing that this project will bring forward. Hopefully that is great return on your investment to not only this project, but of course you're only acting on this project tonight, but there's additional projects that this could really activate and provide great value to the city. So I don't know if Brad, you'd like to add anything to that?
Evening, Mayor. Evening, council members. Mr. Escobedo, to answer your question, I would say specifically with this project, the first one is the risky one, right? So it's we're taking a big leap here. We believe in where we're going to be in 8 or 10 years as we move through all of these projects. I think high level from an economic perspective, we did some studies early on, and the investment that we're making along with you and the reductions that we are receiving under the existing downtown specific plan, they're going to be paid back in dividends with the tax rolls and the increased business in the downtown district. I think it's going to be huge for the specific area, for the downtown specific area.
Okay, and so there's a driveway on East, towards East Main Street. And that might be a question for either staff or you guys. Will that be closed, or how's that gonna be handled?
So long-term, that will remain precisely how it is. It will have a structure over the top of it, which will require us to build over the top of it. We haven't worked through that yet in terms of how long that will have to be closed while we put the structure over the top, but there will be some shorter period of time that it will need to be closed, yes.
That would be, I would assume that that would be the connection between the building and the parking
That's
structure.
correct.
And also was mentioned, I believe it was the architect, sorry, we will do, it was mentioned, we will do our best to recognize, in this case, when we're talking about the Alpine. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that area?
On the memorial specifically?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think there's a big piece of history there, and I think we embrace that. I mean, I think it's so easy to lose history on projects and in locations and towns, and I think for us, seeing the opportunity to work with the community and come up with what we feel will be a much better memorial. We've put some significant efforts into the design of the building to create this courtyard space that's south-facing, is going to be warm and inviting for people to sit. And so yeah, we put a lot of time and thought into it. There was a number of other ways we could go with that memorial, but I think with all the stakeholders, this is where we landed, and we're really happy and excited about where it's going to turn out here as soon as we get it built.
And one of the conversation, well, not a long time ago, we had a meeting where there was discussed, or there was this confusion between the memorial and where the money will come, and it was a little bit of, I would like some clarifications of how's that been discussed, since then to today.
I think from where we started to where we are now, I think we've identified who's taking on what responsibilities. One of the huge ones I think that we've put on our shoulders is how we've designed the building, created the courtyard, the arches, and some of the amenities that are around the building and the space. I mean, the space is a huge one. Limiting that space on the ground, I feel it's very important. I think that's what is going to make it successful, that proper human scale, as opposed to having a 10-foot space on the corner or something like that. Has had some effect on how we're able to count units and put together the building, but we got there. I believe we did.
And has there been any monetary commitment it was mentioned that the estimated cost that it's $250,000 for the memorial. Has there been any conversation or any money commitment?
I would say that's the specific cost to the statue and some of the displays. I think we ran some numbers. I think we're between $300,000 and $400,000 that's being committed from our side, and how we're changing the building design and such.
So those 250. So basically, my question would be, those $250,000, where will they come from? Is that has there been that conversation? Because that's something I've been a little bit lost on. I believe there has been some confusion of who's committed to put those. I don't know if the union and you guys, feel free to.
Go ahead,
jump in,
Mr. Chirkop. Yeah, I think the firefighters said they had committed $5,000. They wanted the city to commit money, and then they were going to go back to the stakeholders group. Is that correct?
So just to be clear, the developers and the city representatives, we met several times, and the developer is building a memorial with many components, an area for the mosaic, the naming, the flag, the shadow box, and the seating and the uplighting for the placement of the bronze plaques and granite naming. What we had asked through this process was, can we bring something else to make it even better? So as part of their plan, they developed, and in conjunction with us, they developed an area for that will be a memorial, but also in the future we can add a statue to. We recognize that fundraising is an option for us, and we have every intent on doing that if we need to. So what I was asking was specific to the statue. The union made the first payment for the artist to retain him so we can get this project going. And we're committed to seeing this through. However, we raise the monies for that statue. But the developer is building everything else. One additional comment about the mosaic, we're hoping to enlist college students at Allen Hancock, as whether it's some type of project or competition for development and design of that mosaic to be installed in the archway on the building.
So I have
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ms.
What,
Hernandez.
just so the people who are listening in, what is the $250,000 get us? What is that for?
The $250,000 that we're going to be fundraising for is only for the bronze statue. That bronze statue will be ours. We will retain ownership through the legal easement that we intend to file on the deed, and that will be our statue, and the fundraising is only for that statue. Everything else, the developer has committed to providing.
And there was a mention that they would provide $75,000. Is that towards the statute?
No, the $75,000 cost was to build all of the other, all of the components to the memorial that they are building. If the costs come in underestimated, then they will contribute the balance to the memorial statue. But as they run cost estimates on the plan, you know, they have made a commitment to us and to the city that they would build everything that is needed for that memorial and an area for us to install a statue. Which you heard the gentleman's estimates, but yeah, we believe $75,000 is actually under what the cost of all of the other elements that they're providing.
Okay, thank you.
Any other, Mr. Cordero?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a little bit confusing in the sense that we're here to approve or disapprove a plan to build a building. The building structure is not contingent on the artwork at all. So how that is developed is something that is dependent on the fire people, those in the community, and whatever other fundraising things. I think we should leave those separate and not make one contingent on the other. This is for the structure itself, not the artwork. You guys are providing basically the base of this memorial, right? Okay, and anything over that that's left out of the $75,000, you committed to donate to the statue?
Yes.
So I think we're confusing it more than it needs to be. We just need to know whether or not we're going to approve the building. And the two should not confuse each other.
Well, this is the entire project as a whole, and that is a condition of approval that the department has been working with the developer. So we can't just separate one or the other. It's the entire project. And so it is important who is going to contribute what, because otherwise they're also stating that they want the city to contribute to this whole project as, you know, the statute. And I understand your point. What you're trying to do is keep it separate, but that wasn't the intent of the department. This is the whole project that we need to look at with the statue and the memorial and everything.
Well, we can't really approve or disapprove something that hasn't been raised yet, meaning
No.
the funds.
And what they're saying is they're doing the memorial, but above and beyond that, the firefighters have contributed money and they want to do a bronze statue. So
statue.
that's above and beyond the
That's
memorial
separate
that's gonna
from
be
that.
done in the plans. Yeah. And so what they want now is the permit to go ahead.
Correct.
Yes. I want to ask you a question. What ideas do you have for the ground floor for commercial?
We heard it was a bowling alley.
I mean, if I lived there, I'd love to have a nice restaurant, breakfast type of cafe place or something like that. It is a good-sized space. I think it's over 5,700 square feet. So there's a very good potential that could be 3, even 4 different spaces.
I'm just curious. I thought maybe you had something you were thinking in mind. Just curious.
I wish we did have someone in pocket. Commercial's tough right now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Escobedo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had a conversation with one of your members, with David, over the weekend, and with this, some of the concerns that I've been expressing from, it's in regards rental and affordability. Those are two things that are really hot topic in District 1. There's the fact of having too many rentals. It's just something that my constituents, they have not been a fan of. They're looking for ownership, and I understand that I try to, I understand your guys' point of view. You get your bosses are your investors, and I do understand where you're coming from, and I know that the market is towards that rental right now. And one of the projects I did vote for was the one on Fallas, and during that vote, one of the reasons what I voted that for, it was even though that it was rental, there was some affordability because of the design of it, and I'm gonna keep asking this. Has there been any conversation about if there's a possibility in the future for to build something for sale?
Yes, there absolutely is. So Fallas has some inherent issues that I spoke about when we went through that process. That building is an existing building, doing condominiums, having firewalls and such, and property lines within that are extremely difficult, specifically with getting utilities and separated utilities to the unit. In terms of this particular property, I see a huge concern with doing for sale product, and I think there's some inherent issues in parking on a city parking lot and not parking on private property. I have definitely listened to your comment and concern about that, and I think where we see that becoming a reality is going to be on lots 1 and lots 4 of what we're working on in the downtown district. Those work because they're privately owned. You'll be able to garage your car on private property, have the correct access, have the right sized units. Smaller units.
Where's this at? The Fallas building?
Oh, the old Mervyn's.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're now talking about that?
Actually, I'm talking about the greater project, the next phases, which would be Lot 1 and Lot 4.
I wonder, Madam Mayor,
We're,
can
we're,
we just stay
yeah,
with
we're,
the
we're
one
getting off,
project?
we're getting off base.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions
I think we
related to
should
this
stay with the
permit?
one project.
Yes, any other questions related to this project?
But thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, if not, Madam Clerk, I'd like to close the public hearing, bring the item back to the council for discussion or a motion.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Cordero.
Well, as it was pointed out, that we started this in 2018, and it's been pointed out more than once by more than one person that it's been on the table for quite some time. I think we have some outstanding working relationships with these developers, and I think we should move forward with this as soon as we possibly can in order to get this project underway. And with that, if there's no other questions, I would consider that a motion unless my
I have a motion, and I need a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Escobedo.
So some of the, before coming here to the council, part of my job is to go and be up there and ask my constituents, as the small businesses on West Main Street. And they just, as it was mentioned before, they just don't feel enough confidence, or they just, it's a change, it's a big change what is planned, and I get it. It's just that at this point, there's a lot of, I receive a lot of phone calls and I have a lot of meetings, and I know that you guys been meeting with, I haven't been part of those meetings, which I wish I could have. We did had a meeting, but you guys were not in, it was at the chamber and the staff, and that was a very interesting meeting. But I think that at this point, I don't feel confident enough for this project. I know it's the first one, and the other one, as I mentioned, it is important because that's kind of like what my constituents are shooting for. They've been asking me for. So So yeah, just wanted to share that. I think it's a process that's going to take some time for people to get used to. And so in District 1, there's a lot of pushback on my end. So yeah, just want to share that huge concern from them.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Aguilar Hernandez?
Aye.
Councilmember Escobedo?
At this point, no.
And Mayor Patino?
Aye. Motion carried. Moving on to the regular business item, Madam Clerk, could you please read the title?
The City Council will review and prioritize the capital project proposals for fiscal year 2024-25, Community Development Block Grant Funding, and provide the Block Grants Advisory Committee and participating applicants with direction as to the projects that should be given priority for the upcoming funding cycle.
Staff report is to be made by Community Programs Manager, Ms. Rojo.
Can you hear me now? Oh, it's loud.
I know.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. All right. We come before you tonight asking that you review and prioritize the capital project proposals for 24-25 Community Development Block Grant Funding and provide the Block Grants Advisory Committee and the participating applicants with direction as to the projects that you feel should be given priority for the upcoming fiscal year. This is the 8th consecutive year that the City Council participates in the capital funding allocation process by conducting a preliminary review of the proposed capital projects prior to their review by the Block Grants Advisory Committee. This provides the City Council with the ability to prioritize these potential projects before the agencies go through the long and extensive application and bid process. In addition, committee members use the City Council's directives from this meeting as one of several factors in their recommendations. The deadline to submit proposals for 24-25 CDBG capital funding was Tuesday, September 12th. Staff received 9 eligible capital proposals. This includes the annual set-aside of $15,000 that the city requests to cover the administrative costs associated with managing the city's tenant-based rental assistance program. TBRA, as we call it, is funded through home funding, but since the city obtains its home funding through the County of Santa Barbara's Home Consortium, the city can't use any of that funding to cover the program administration. Therefore, the city must utilize CDBG funding, which is an eligible expense. The proposed capital projects and TBRA allocation currently total $3.8 million. While staff has not been notified how much funding the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development will be providing the city for the upcoming fiscal year, based on the current year's allocation, the city will likely receive a little more than $1 million. So we have almost 4 times the asking of what we're probably going to get. So on your screen, you will see the one proposal from our division, which is for the $15,000, and then the 8 proposals from outside agencies, including 1 from Recreation and Parks. A summary of the proposals with staff notes is included as Attachment A, along with the individual proposals, which are included in Attachment B. So now I'll go over each project very briefly and give you a little bit more information. So as I mentioned, the TBRA program is, we fund almost up to $2,500 worth somebody's rental deposit in Santa Maria, Orchid, or Tanglewood. And the $15,000 just helps pay for our administrative costs. Without this allocation, the division will use general fund dollars to help with the administration costs associated with the management of this much-needed program. The next proposal came from the Boys and Girls Club. And as you can see, what they're hoping to do is upgrade the club gymnasium, including more bleachers, retractable basketball courts, new AV equipment, signage, and scorekeeping machine. In addition, update the LED lighting and new HVAC system. Per the agency, this program can be phased out. The agency has received several rounds of funding in the past 10 years. The City of Santa Maria's Recreation and Parks Department is asking for funding for the Santa Maria Community Sports Park. The amount requested will help close the funding gap associated with the cost of this project, and due to the project's other grant funding requirements, this project must be completed in the next few years, and therefore funding is needed for the upcoming funding cycle. The funding will be used to help build 4 large fields suitable for soccer, lacrosse, rugby, skills building, and other practice games. In addition, there will be walking trails, exercise stations, and a playground. Then we have both Communify and Capslo, which are applying for minor home repair. Both agencies provide much-needed home repair for low to moderate income individuals. The difference between that of Communify and Capslo is that Communify focuses more on smaller repairs and contracts out the projects, and Capslo focuses more on the larger home repairs using its own staff. Both agencies have received CDBG funding for several years and have had some difficulty submitting required CDBG documentation in a timely fashion. Both have left funding on the table, but we continue working with them to ensure compliance. For both agencies, the number of households assisted depends on the allocation amount. Then we have Family Service Agency. They're applying for the construction and enclosure of a reception area and lobby with added wall and attacker-resistant glass. The agency does not have any other funding committed for this project. Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley is asking for the funding to purchase and renovate a property slated to be used as a navigation center, which will offer critical services for youth and young adults in need. The agency has already received HUD funding outside of the city of Santa Maria for a leased navigation center, which is set to open in January, but the agency sees a permanent property as a best practice. It currently has 3 different locations in Santa Maria as potential acquisition sites. Renovations will be done based on finances. Then we have Good Samaritan. Good Samaritan is asking for funding for a homeless day program. It'll pay for the construction and installation of a 1,600 square foot modular building that will serve as a day program for Good Samaritan clients. The agency adds that the phasing of this project will be challenging because it consists of an off-site modular building with an installation on-site during a specific time frame. For this reason, the agency would need the full asking amount. The agency has received CDBG funding for various projects in its emergency shelter for the past 3 consecutive years. And People Self-Help Housing is asking for funding to acquire the property along College, which is called Heritage View 1 and 2, and it'll offer 119 affordable housing units. Following the submittal of this proposal, staff spoke with the agency to gain clarity on this project. Its counsel confirmed that it cannot use CDBG funds to repay an acquisition loan, but the agency has the right to extend its acquisition of the property to July 8th, which is just a week after the fiscal year begins. While closing would take place after the start of the fiscal year, we usually don't guarantee funding until we have an executed contract, and that executed contract doesn't go out until we know our allocation amounts and we have submitted our action plan to HUD and the 45-day review period has passed. If there is any delay in our funding amount, which has happened in the past, and if we are asked by HUD to wait and to submit our action plan, which has happened in the last 3 years, we may not have an executed contract by July 8th. The city also operates on a reimbursement basis, which means that we usually pay the agency and then ask for reimbursement from HUD. We have not historically had HUD's funding in our bank account that early in the fiscal year. The staff is concerned about the project's timeline. Per the proposal, the agency isn't going after tax credits for this project until April of 2025, nearly a year after potentially receiving CDBG funds. The project cannot be closed out under CDBG regulations until there is occupancy, which isn't projected to occur until 2028, assuming that all the funding is secured and the project is constructed, is renovated without a hitch. Historically, the last two housing projects the city provided funding for this agency took an average of 7 years from start to finish, well over the timeliness imposed by HUD. This caused the city to have these projects flagged, and we had to remediate for several years with HUD. This is just something that happens usually when funding is used for acquisition, just because of the nature of the scope of work and the type of, the way that we're using our funding. So the next step, that the City Council reviews and collectively prioritizes the proposals and provides staff with the council's top 3 projects. Keep in mind that you are not required to provide us with a proposed allocation amount for each recommendation. The funding amounts are something that the Block Grants Advisory Committee will take a closer look at once we proceed with the application review and deliberation process. Tonight's feedback will provide the Block Grants Advisory Committee and potential applicants with direction as to the projects that should receive priority for the upcoming funding cycle. Results from tonight's ranking does not mean that the agencies which are not in the top 3 cannot continue to apply for funding. It just provides these agencies with a bit more information as how to proceed. The information provided by the City Council will be one of the various tools used by the Block Grants Advisory Committee to make its determination for 24-25 CDBG funding. Once all CDBG applications are submitted in December, the Block Grants Advisory Committee will review all applications, conduct site visits, and hold deliberation sessions. The committee's recommendations will be presented to the City Council for final approval in April of 2024. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Any questions of Ms. Rojo? Okay. Yes, Mr. Escobedo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In regards to the Santa Maria Community Sports Park, so that 1 million, and did you say that would get it closer, or they will fill the gap between funding?
It'll help fill the gap.
Okay. And how much would it be, or how close do we have a number, how close would that be from the actual making the project happen?
That would probably be better answered by one of our members from Recreation and Parks.
Okay. Okay.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Angela Osland. I'm the acting interim director for Recreation and Parks. Currently, the gap is approximately $2 to $3 million. That cost will probably escalate, knowing that construction costs are escalating over time. We've seen it over the past couple of years. So this funding request would help close that gap significantly.
Thank you. Any other questions? Madam Clerk, do we have any correspondence or requests to speak?
We do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Would you like to just go right down the row and see, we each name our 1, 2, 3? Is that helpful? How would you like to do it?
Yeah, ideally collectively would be best, but we can
Well,
do
that might
and
take
then-
all night collectively, okay?
Well, I think,
So-
I'd like to start.
Okay, you can
Mayor.
start.
I think that the Santa Maria Community Sports Park is really important. I believe the council stated that this was one of the goals, and it pretty much promised the residents. So I think that most of the money, if not all, would really benefit the city to go to the community sports park, because families really, as a whole, would really enjoy this, and it would do a great, service to our community. So I think this would meet our goals. As to how much we have, it looks like a little bit over $1 million, and they're asking for $1 million. So I would, I really want us to focus on
youth and really improving the community and the families' quality of life. So that would be my
Thank you.
comment.
Mr. Escobedo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I concur. I think it's the Santa Maria Community Sports Park. It's overdue. It's been in the works for so many years, and it would be my my priority as well.
Mr. Cordero?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to help you and your team come up with the answers that you're looking for, I've always tried to focus on feeding people and making them warm before I give them lessons on how to sing and so forth. If that helps you in your deliberation process, then so be it. But I'm more focused on that and the youth in the community. So without naming any one specific organization, I think that the youth and the feeding and warmth is more important to me than some of the other programs that tend to come up. Okay, does that help?
Thank you.
All right.
And I'll give you my 1, 2, 3. I think we've been promising the people in Santa Maria for a long time about the sports complex, and they keep asking us, and we keep saying, yeah, it's coming, it's going. And we have had grants from the feds, and the county gave us money, the city will be putting in money. So that, to me, is number one, and I think that you're hearing that from us up here. When I attended the first meeting this year you had on unmet needs in the community, everyone talked about their own agency and what they needed. And there was one woman that came up and talked about how, I don't know if it was Communify or a community action partnership, but how someone built, I guess, a ramp and rail for their grandmother, making it possible for her to stay in her home. And the woman said, she has 20 grandchildren, but we weren't capable of doing that. And I think, to me, that's a great story, because people want to stay in their homes, and it's less expensive for them to stay in their homes, and these organizations made that possible. And my third one will be Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley, because that is taking unhoused youths and doing a navigation center and saving them from becoming homeless. We have taken kids out of the riverbed and have housed them and have had good successes with these kids. So, and I know Fighting Back makes them either go to school or find a job, or both. And so they're teaching them a lot of values. So that's my 1, 2, 3.
So do we need to
Madam-
allocate?
No,
Sorry.
no, we don't allocate. We just,
said
at
that.
all. She said we don't allocate, but to prioritize so that when the committees check it out, the committee checks everything out, they will figure out the allocation and maybe right or maybe wrong. So, Mr. Escobedo?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I missed 2. I just gave you 1. I've seen and I witnessed the hard work and the great job that Fighting Back has been doing in the community. I actually worked really closely with them, and that would be my number 2. They do have a really big impact in Santa Maria. And number 3, it's just, I think that's and Mayor brings a really good point in regards to how some changes, small changes, can make a big difference in people's life. So that would be my 3rd priority. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, the minor home repair program? Thank you, Councilmember Escobedo.
Mr. Hernandez?
Yeah, so I would agree with 1, sports complex, 2, Fighting Back Santa Maria, 3, Communify, and CAPS. I believe they're both similar, the minor home repair program and the Safe at Home repair program.
Yeah. Mr. Cordero, any parting remarks?
No.
Okay. So do you have enough direction?
Yes,
I
thank
think
you
you
so
do.
much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the report. The next item will be a report by the interim city manager, Mr. Posada.
Thank you, Mayor and Council members. Good evening. I wanted to take a minute to introduce a couple of people. I'm going to start with Angela Osland, the interim Recreation and Parks Director. Angela just come up and make her comments. So, Angela, welcome. Angela's been the Assistant Director of the department for the last few months. She stepped up to take on the role while I'm over here working with you all. Also, I'd like to introduce Zena Bradford. Zena is the interim finance director. She will be replacing Ms. Harvey if that could be done. So we want to welcome her also. Just to touch on a couple of things coming up in the community, I wanted to make sure that you all remember that the air show is coming up October the 14th and 15th. I would be remiss and probably fine by my Kiwanis Club if I didn't mention that on the 19th of October, we'll be doing our 100th year anniversary. So you should all get invitations to that, and there'll be a resolution.
What a coincidence. That's my anniversary, not 100 years, but
Well, thank you for sharing.
happiest years of my husband's life.
Thank you. On the agenda coming up for October the 17th, we have a closed session. We have some proclamations, World Polio Day, recognizing Rotary for their efforts on polio. We'll also be doing some awarding and contracting for Public Works Professional Services. There'll be a Prop 218 water and sewer rate first reading. And we'll be talking about the general plan update. We'll have community development hearing to review that with you. Those are the top items coming up on the 17th.
Thank you. So let's go to oral reports from council members. Shall we start with you, Ms. Hernandez?
I did at the last meeting, the Ben Hay Show, but I also attended the Cal Cities Conference, and that was really amazing. We learned a lot about what other cities are doing to deal with city issues that they are dealing with. You know, in particular, we were in Sacramento, and Sacramento is dealing with a very specific legal issue with the DA's office. So it was really interesting to sit through that presentation and learn as to what cities are doing and really, you know, get ideas as to how we can improve Santa Maria. So that, you know, that was 4 days, drive down to Sacramento and drive back. And then this weekend, I'm going to the mayor's ball. It will be at the Radisson. So that's it.
Mr. Escobedo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's kind of blurry, the September month. It was, we were not going to have a meeting and ended up having the same amount of meetings after all. So I would say that trying to figure out, I attend the Santa Maria Valley Chamber of Commerce 2023 Annual Gala Awards on September 21st. And yeah, that's it.
Mr. Cordero?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the 23rd of August, I met with the Ross Realty people to discuss the project that's on 135 and then just south of Foster Road. And they mentioned how it's going to go into in increments. On 8/24, I attended a CCWA meeting down in Buellton. That was pretty soon after the explosion that took place up at, is it Devil's something or other. One of the pumps blew up there, and it's a huge thing. You can't like go down to Home Depot and buy this thing. So they're still working on that. On the 28th, I was at a meeting at the United Way. We're talking at the United Way, doing what the Boys and Girls Club did and taking on the United Way in Santa Luis and merging the two, making our footprint bigger and hopefully being able to apply for bigger grants and affect more people. And that seems to have worked real well with the Boys and Girls Club. Shortly after the Boys and Girls Club incorporated the San Luis County agency or clubs, they put a new building in up Paso, and so that's working out real well. So we're working toward that, and it hasn't taken place yet, but we're working on it. On the 31st, I met with SEIU, and they discussed some things that I passed on to the city manager regarding negotiations. On the 27th, I attended a public meeting on water and sewer prices needing to go up we were at the library and in the Shepherd room there, Shepherd Hall. On the 28th, I attended another CCWA meeting at 9/28, another CCWA meeting, and another United Way meeting. Again, we're talking more seriously about it. And then in closing, I want to mention that tomorrow, somewhere here at the city, they're having what Assemblyman Greg Hart is calling sidewalk hours, I think he called it. And he'll be here at the City Hall someplace answering questions to the constituents. And I certainly hope that the listening public, if they have the time to come down and meet their assemblyman, that they will do that. I met with him a couple of weeks ago, and he seems to be a very astute gentleman. He just came from a position in county supervisor down in Santa Barbara. And it was a real pleasure to meet him, and I think that meeting him and sharing our thoughts gives us an open door to go to if one of the constituents has an issue that they want to bring forward at the state level. And that's it for me, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. This is boy, we were going for a long time without meetings. On the 15th of August, we had a check presentation for the Santa Maria, the Japanese Community Center with Salud Carbajal was here, our congressman. August 17th, I did SBCAG in the morning, APCD in the afternoon. I took a vacation. August 30th, I did Measure A interviews for the Oversight Committee, and that evening attended the Babe Ruth celebration at the Elks, which was absolutely packed. The 31st, I did the Channel County's Legislative Lunch webinar, as I'm a member of the voting from the counties. September 2nd, I attended Santa Maria Day at Cal Poly. On the 6th of September, I attended the Project Opioid and the Japanese Community Center groundbreaking. The 8th of September, I did Rick Blaemeyer's show, and that's pretty much, he asks me what's going on in Santa Maria, and so it's very informative for people listening to the radio. On September 10th, I attended the California Alliance of Local Electeds, and on September 11th, went to Fire Station 3 for the commemoration ceremony of September 11th, and attended a voting delegate webinar. On the 12th, I attended out the police department, the badge pinning, promotions, and new hires, and congratulations, Chief. Recs and Parks Commission that afternoon, and then we had a fentanyl town hall meeting at the Foursquare Church on the northwest side of town. September 13th, I attended the 3CE annual meeting in Paso Robles for 2 days. And then the 15th, Vandenberg, I attended a kickoff there for the MOU that the city of Santa Maria has with Vandenberg. On the 17th, of course, you had the fiestas in the Santa Maria, the El Grito across the street. And then attended the 18th on the Performing Arts Center Steering Committee to see what they were going to do. And the annual conference, League Conference in Sacramento. And I went to Libin Elementary School on September 27th and answered a bunch of questions from fourth graders, and they're always interesting questions. Marion Medical Center Foundation Board meeting, and then September 28th, I did the SBCAG board meeting briefing on Highway 166, and then I had my mayor's teen council at Santa Maria High and Pioneer High School, and I was at Santa Maria High when they had the lockdown. So I can tell you that down from the principal down to the teachers in the classroom, they followed procedure, and he was very calm on the speaker, telling all the kids to get into the nearest classroom and to make sure all teachers were out there and getting the kids into the classroom. And so we were able to sign up four new boys that came in to get in out of the rain and so it was very successful. And this evening, I would like to close this evening's meeting to honor Dianne Feinstein. She was a senator from California and served California for many years. And anyway, she served for a long, long time and going back and forth to DC and doing all the stuff she did. So thank you, Dianne. Mr. Posada?
Madam Mayor, thank you very much. Just for a quick minute, I did forget to, you all mentioned the new technology that we have. I want to be sure that we mention Mark Vandekamp and his crew, and Jeff Mizarek and his crew, the contractors that came in, the working long hours. I know Jeff came in on Saturday as well as Mark, hang out late at night to make sure that everything was ready for this meeting, and I think the system is so far very good.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Posada. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting is adjourned.